What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. This is Dave from Surfcraft Union, and this is a new series that I've been working on called 3 for 30. What 3 for 30 is 3 boards in 30 days, and then I'm gonna give you my unbiased opinion. With that said, it's going to be a smaller board, a mid board, and then a long or a big board. Surfcraft Union, 3 for 30, third episode. Let's start it off. Just for the record, all of these boards are pintails, just saying. So we're going to start it off with the small board. This is the Channel IslandsTwin Pin. This thing was just released. It is Memorial Day weekend. I know, I'm wearing a sweatshirt and a beanie. It's actually like 50 degrees outside right now. Anyway, this board is gonna be something interesting. Definitely the smallest board that I've ridden in a while. I know I keep on saying that, but in reality, this is about as short board-ish as I kind of get. It does still have some surface area in the rails, but you can see the outline, how it really kind of pulls in here. This board is 6'1", 19/3/8 by 2 10/16 from what it says, which averages right around 35 liters according to the board. It has a track pad on it. I haven't seen a track pad on anything in my garage in a super long time. So we'll see what that's like. And I just want to give a little shout out to True Aims on these twin fins for this. This thing is sick. So this is micro-February fins. I don't know if they are coming with the boards. I got this from a guy that had one, let me borrow it as a demo. As far as bottom contours, slight V, a little bit more pronounced when it goes in between the tail. Hard edge, obviously starting right around here. Very inviting board, so let's see how this goes. All right, and the mid. I've been wanting to check one of these things out for a while. This is a TrimCraft Haley Pin. It is dope looking. I am so excited to try this thing. This is a brand that does employ hand shapes. All these boards are hand shaped. This was hand shaped and signed by John Simon. He does Simon shapes. Really cool stuff. I really love it how it just says 7/8 Haley Pin, doesn't give me any more dimensions than that. I think that's awesome. I think people get a little too carried away with volume, especially when it gets into boards this big, but that's my own opinion, and I understand if you guys don't agree with me. Anyway, let's get to the board. Down-railed. Practically the whole thing is like down-railed. And it has these chimes. My last episode, I rode the Anderson edge board, and it's not edged like an edge board, but it does have these little chimes that go up. So it's almost like a up rail and a down rail meeting. And then it has this double concave, and then just gets a little deeper and then flat out the tail. Really, really cool design. It's kind of cool because it says Cheater 5 for miles. We'll see how that goes. Stretch Cheater 5s most likely, which is super cool. This could be a board that I could see as a possible desert island. If I can duck dive it, we'll kind of see. I'm running these little side bites that me and Corey did. These are a part of the speed fin package, and I am running the 8.25 fin in this. I have a 7.25 that I'm gonna try as well, but I feel like the 8.25 is probably the best bet for the width of the tail. It does have a lot of width and it comes to a pin at the very end, but I'm super interested in seeing how both fins work. Maybe I'll try no fin in the center and just try these little jammers and hope that the water flow from here kind of keeps me on track. I'm down to try it. I'm fully down to try it. Little edge in the tail all the way through. Very interesting, aggressive board. I think it's gonna be cool. I think it's gonna be really cool. I'd love to surf it in a lined up wave, but the thing that really attracted me to this board is that the V-Bowls is made for really good waves. I've surfed it in crappy waves and I've had fun with it. But this thing is supposed to be even better for not great waves. And I don't know if you've noticed, but we don't get great waves in New Jersey all the time. So to keep me in the water more, I have to try to find boards that work in less than amazing conditions. So let's check this thing out. I'm stoked. Thanks again, Phil from Glide, for hooking it up. Thing looks amazing. Yeah, and next is the longboard. All right, and for this episode's longboard, we are going with the Corey Colapintail by CJ Nelson Designs. This was shaped by Ryan Engel. Ryan Engel also shaped for Canvas before that, Christian Watches Company, and did a few designs for Corey back then as well. This thing's pretty cool. It is definitely a little more of the high performance style log that I've seen, measuring at 9.9 by 23 by 3.13. It's a big board, but it's got a ton of V coming out the tail, and then pretty flat, and then a good amount of nose concave for nose riding. We'll see. This is Thunderbolt Technology Red. I wanted to give CJ Nelson Designs another shot, and since I'm already doing a couple pintails in this one, I decided to make this one a pintail as well. Down railed, really cool board. Trying a couple different fins because frankly, the size of this board is big, but there's not a lot of rocker in the tail or the nose. So with the amount of tail width that we have in this board, I'm gonna try this 9-inch. This is the fin that me and Corey came up with. It's called the Speed Fin. So I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try this. Also, this is a hydrophile finger fin. Should be interesting. A little bit of a mix between turning and also being able to get up on the nose. And the last fin I'm gonna try is this guy. This is Alex Noss Captain Fin. This is 11 inches and it's very, very flexy, very, very playful. So I'm curious as to how that's gonna work with the V out the tail. And also with this length should help me as far as being stable up there. So yeah, that's that board. Cool stuff. I'm gonna go surf these boards. Check back with you in a sec.
My feet go loose and I move my hips. a jellyfish. Yeah, I lost my mind in an acid trip. Like a jellyfish. Yeah, I gained my mind and the vision slipped. Walking on the sunny side of the sidewalk, well, it feels like the moon. Walking on the sunny side of the sidewalk, but it feels just like the moon. Walking on the sunny side of the sidewalk, well, it feels like the moon. Walking on the sunny side of the sidewalk, well, it feels just like the moon. Walking on the sunny side of the sidewalk, well, it feels like the moon. Walking on the sunny side of the sidewalk, well, it feels just like the moon. Gain my mind in a vision slip.
All right, welcome back, everybody. So, to try to solve some problems, I get a lot of people, I do these reviews, and then people ask me, so what did you think? Because I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of all over the place. So what I did was I'm taking 6 different categories for each surfboard. It's going to be 0 to 10, and at the end, we figure out the average score. And that's how we're going to do it going forward. And I think this is kind of fun because it rates them, but it rates them for me. Keep in mind, this is just my personal opinion. I'm not a professional surfer. I'm an average surfer. I live in New Jersey. I'm 40. Like, I'm just trying to have fun out here. So with that said, we're going to start with the Channel IslandsTwin Pin. I'm going to start off by saying that I did not get to surf this board in the waves that it deserves. This board kind of came to me at a time when we don't have a lot of really, really good waves. And also it came to me at a time when, unfortunately, at this time of the year, when the waves are good, everybody's out. There are no secret spots, there's nothing. So I did the best that I can. But in my experience, one of the first categories is maneuver, all right? So, believe it or not, I gave this board an 8. And the reason why is a mix between the pintail and these fins themselves, and also this V going out, it's really grippy on turns. Although it's a longer rail line, it feels small. This is 6'1". I wouldn't say that it feels grovelly, but it just felt like when I did a turn, it gripped. And I didn't feel it sliding out, and that's a mix between the hard edge, obviously, which these boards are definitely gonna have, but it's actually the hard edge is starting right around here. So it's starting way further up than the actual fins. Now also, the fins are set pretty far back, all right? So it's gonna be a lot more of a tighter arc, tighter turn, all right? So that's maneuverability. Drive, I gave it a 7. And the reason why is I didn't get the waves that I wanted to get with this board. I did get some waves. I got my last session was kind of one of the bigger days. And I did feel it on some bigger waves that were a little bit more pitchier. I felt this thing really take control and it felt awesome. But at the same time, I rode this thing for 30 days. The drive was not in gravel days. The drive was only in stand-up good days, all right? So flow, I gave that a 7, all right? Definitely felt it making lines and connections, and it was a lot different than a regular fish where you're going more like this. This thing wanted to go up and do its turn and come back. It really wanted to pocket surf, and for me, it was kind of exciting to be able to surf a board that was allowing me to kind of make those moves. You can see in the video, it's not really the way that I surf, but I was trying. Volume distribution / duck dive, okay? So I gave it a 7. And the reason why is it duck dives well for its liters. It's 35 liters, 35.25 liters in this board. It's a 6'1", but look at the actual outline. It's almost like a shortboard outline. But when you look at the actual thickness that's going all the way through, it's even going all the way to the tip. You know, there's still a lot of volume right here. So duck diving, I was a little worried that it would be kind of tough, but it actually duck dove really well for its size. When you're up and riding, most of the volume is underneath your feet, okay? So that's gonna make it more lively than a wide point forward board, okay? So like think about like the Hypto Crypto. The Hypto Crypto, a lot of the volume is right up here. This, a lot of the volume is here, front foot, back foot. So with that said, you're definitely going to have a little bit more maneuverability because there's less area right in front of your front foot, okay? Paddling, I gave it an 8. Again, because of the volume where it's placed, it paddles really well because your chest is here. So there's not that much to paddle right here. You're not fighting anything. And the rocker is pretty good as far as like how much rocker it actually has when you want to try to do 12 o'clock hits, but also it's pretty flat for the most part. So it does paddle really well. Even as again, a 6'1" for me, in a shortboard style, it felt very comfortable and I was very surprised at it. And I'm stoked that it worked out. So the last category is special moments. And obviously that's like times where I rode this board and I was just like, what was that? And I gave it a 7. Again, lack of waves, it happens, right? But I did a turn that felt so archy on this thing because of the way that the tail is and the fins. It kind of brought me back to like when I used to try to shred when I was younger. And that was a really cool feeling because it was nice to do a turn like that, not having been done one in such a long time. So it was kind of cool to actually do it. You know, I don't want to call it an accomplishment because it's not how I want to surf, but it was an accomplishment because it's something that I haven't done in so long. You know, like try not skateboarding for 10 years and then trying to drop in on a 6-foot mini ramp. Probably going to be a little sketched out, but when you do it, you're going to feel really good. So that's what I got to say about this one. All right, guys, Haley Pin. This is probably one of the most fun boards that I've ridden in my life. Definitely funnest board of this whole project. Definitely funnest board of this particular series. It's versatile. It's fun in all conditions for the most part. And I really dug it with the fins that I was running with it, which are the hydrophile fins that me and Corey came up with. I'm running it with the 7.25 fin and the little side bites. I felt that 7.25 worked really, really well. The 8.25 felt like it was a little too much, especially with the sides, but I do know people that have ridden it as a single fin. They love it too. We're gonna get to that though, but let's go to the scorecard itself. So maneuverability, I gave it a 7. All right, you can really push it through your bottom turn, but due to the pintail, it feels longer when paddling, but smaller when surfing. All right, so that's kind of a cool aspect because everybody wants the best of both worlds, but you can't get it. But this is kind of giving it to you. Maneuverability, the only thing that I had issues with was because it's so low in the rocker, I did have a few issues where I would go up and have a little bit of an issue coming back down in steeper surf where it may have nosedived. But that's also something that happened kind of at the beginning of when I started to ride this, and I think I was just super excited and really wanted to push the limits. And then realized that this board just kind of wants to cruise, and it's a lot of fun to do. So next category, trim. I gave that a 9. It trims like a glider. It is a glider. It's a mini glider. But the coolest part about it is it trims different than anything that I've ever had. I've never had a board that literally has so much air and water that's going through the sides in the middle. And then the chimed rails give it almost this roll feel, almost like a displacement hole, where you can find it, kind of like feel yourself pivot. And that's something different. Especially in like an egg craft style board, this is completely different than an egg. So from trim, it trims great, but the drive is something else that I'm really interested in. I gave it an 8 for drive. And the reason why is, again, there's this projection coming off of your bottom turns, and it allows you to complete the turn, go back into the foam, and get ready and just keep going. I've never had a loss of speed on this, and even when I took out the center fin, which we'll talk about in a sec, the amount of drive that this board just naturally has even without fins is kind of nuts. It even paddles well without fins. Going to paddling. I gave it a 7. Obviously the flat rocker is going to help with that. It paddles great. The volume distribution itself is very in the favor of paddling. A lot of the volume is kind of more in the center, where your feet are, you can kind of see that it pulls into the tail. So a lot of the actual thickness of the board is right around here in front of that, and then goes to here, which for the most part is most of the weight of your body. So that kind of goes into just distribution of volume and duck dive ability. So this thing's 7'8", and it duck dives a lot smaller. I'm very surprised that I'm able to duck dive it, but you got to keep in mind that with the chimed rails and the down rail and the lack of volume in the tail and how the nose kind of slowly slims down, it really takes away a lot of the swing weight and it takes a lot of the volume out. But at the same time, the distribution of the volume is still plenty. There's still plenty to paddle, but there's not like way too much where you can't duck dive it. When I did the CJ Outlier, I could not duck dive that thing at all. And the reason why is because of the technology. This is poly, it's a completely different situation. I'm not bad-mouthing Thunderbolt, but I'm just starting to find that it's maybe for something that you don't have to duck dive a lot. But anyway, that's for a different episode in itself. Special moments on this thing. So the stretch fives that I've seen friends do, and I've also done myself, have been so much more easier than some of the longboards that I've ridden. It's kind of crazy. The amount of, again, still drive and trim that you're getting when you're on this part of the board is kind of nuts. As far as riding it finless, because of the lack of tail rocker, when you take the back fin out, you still have all of this air and water moving through with the chimed rails, and there's hard edge here, and then these little fins. It feels like an Alio with training wheels, and it was one of the easier things to ride finless than I have. And I've had a couple boards that have been completely finless boards. And this thing did it all. It didn't feel too big. I did a nice little almost like side slip, and it went right back in. I just had a couple waves that were super duper long, and it was kind of awesome. So special moments, I give this board a 9, which gives this board a combined total of 7.83. I do highly recommend this, especially if you do have a V-Bowls. It's a completely different board. If you love the V-Bowls or the Re-Bowls, this is a great board too. If you kind of want to start getting into boards like this is a great entry level, but this is also a great board for someone that has been surfing for a long time that wants to try something a little different. The reason why I got interested in this board is because I had a friend grab one and just love it, smiling ear to ear, and then his friend grabbed one and the same response. So I had to go see Phil, and I had to try one for myself. So with that said, I have my buddy Jake. Jake, you can come on over here. Jake is a really good surfer from New Jersey. And would you say this is like one of your first boards this style?
This is definitely my first board this style. I think the only other board that I've had that has not been a smaller board was the Hobie Peter Pan Slug.
Okay.
And I love that, but I was looking for something a little more technical in a way, something a little more stretched out. And the Haley Pin was not what I first was looking at, but I was convinced by Phil
Yeah.
that it was something, when I was telling him what I would kind of wanted to feel in the water, he was like, do the Haley Pin, do the Haley Pin.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
I picked one up, and it's, I don't think I've put it down yet.
Yeah, you haven't.
I haven't put it down yet, and I don't want to. It's my go-to.
It is your go-to.
Yeah.
It's a 7.4, which is 4 inches smaller than mine.
Same fin setup, usually I'm rocking your fins.
Yeah, same fin setup, and I've seen you do some turns that looked magical. I have one on video. I think I already showed it. But it surfs amazing backside.
Absolutely, yeah. Which is really surprised me, because from coming from the smaller board style of surfing, which I mainly did, that was the one thing I was like, oh, backside is going to be a little tricky on these bigger boards, but hopping on the Haley Pin, it was like, the first time I kind of went up and kind of just tried to take it easy for a carve, the thing just went, like it did it itself, and I was blown away. And I think ever since, it was like, since the first session on it, I just knew, like, wow, there was no getting used to it like that, or trying to adapt, maybe a couple weird waves. It was like, first session was like hooked. Everything just felt right. Everything was easy. It was technical, though, at the same time. You could, like you were saying, my favorite thing is the cheater 5s on it. Like the way it still holds, like up to that front.
I've seen you like cheater 5
that front
and parts
board
of the wave that like are almost like explosive.
It just,
like,
it works. It just, I don't know. It's tough for me to explain this board. That's why I'm very happy you got to explain it and then pulled me in, because I'm like, oh man, how am I going to explain it? Because it's like, you got to get one. They're just so much fun. I would tell anybody to get one of these. Like, and that's what happened. Like, Phil told me, you got to get one. Just go for it. And I got it. And as soon as I got it, our other buddy, Jordan, saw me surfing, and he's like, oh, that's fun. And I think he was kind of itching and like, oh, let me take a couple waves, but I just didn't want to let the thing go. I never let him get a wave on it, because I just wanted to keep surfing. So he ended up going and picking one up. And then I think you saw us both having good times on it, and you're like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to borrow yours, but then I was like...
It's hard to get it in my hands,
Yeah.
I don't want to let the thing go. It's so much fun.
That's awesome. Perfect. Is there anything else that you want to kind of like say about it? Like anything that you were like kind of surprised? I know you already touched on how it just clicked for you instantly, but maybe the length of it itself, does it feel 7.4?
Absolutely not. It doesn't feel 7.4 at all. And that was like a good point that you had. Like duck diving the thing is crazy, because it feels like you're on something that's like 6.0, 6.4 maybe. Yeah. Even paddling it around, like, it feels like around 7.4 or so, it feels like that length, but once you're up on it, like, it surfs like a 7.4. Yeah. But it doesn't feel like, you know what I mean? Like it feels small, like you can pull these turns, but you could walk it, you could go backside without it. You don't feel like it's out of control or it's too big, like you got all this length of board to handle. Yeah. It doesn't feel like that at all.
Totally.
So awesome. coming from like a smaller board background, I feel like it's a great board to go to. Cool. It doesn't feel like too much material under your feet whatsoever. Yeah. It's the perfect board. I love it. Good. It's my favorite board.
Good. I'm stoked you got one. And you're surfing really well on it. Every single day I see you surfing on it, I'm just like, dude, that's Jake, man.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That makes me feel good coming from you.
Cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And this was the mid board. Definitely TrimCraft, handmade, beautiful glass job. The boys are killing it. Just check them out if you didn't get to. And on to the longboard next. Okay, so CJ Nelson Colapintail, pretty cool board. Definitely very more glider feel, believe it or not. I went through a bunch of fins, and I had a hard time trying to find one that kind of did everything. So the one that I actually had the most fun with was this thing, which is a huge flex fin, but it actually really made it really fun to surf off the tail. I don't think it really helped a whole lot when trying to surf it off the nose, but just in my experience, I felt like this board might be a little bit more fun with something like this. And that's what I kind of stuck with. I rode a 9-inch, the 9-inch one that me and Corey does, a speed fin, and I went up to the nose a couple times for like some stretch 5s and just felt the back just wash out. So decided to go as big as I could. All right, so the scorecard for the longboards are a little bit different. So we're gonna start off with nose ride, all right? And keep in mind, this is a 0 to 10 score, all right? A 5 means that I could cheater 5 on it, okay? And a 10, I don't know if a board will ever get a 10, because that means that I am doing parallel 10s. And I don't know if I have that ability, and I don't know if a board will be able to have me do that, okay? So I gave it a 6, all right? I had a few longer cheater 5s than I expected, and I had a few cheater 5s where the board actually, I was able to almost turn it to go more straight when I felt like I was getting pushed off the back. So that was a cool experience. It was pretty fun. All right, although the amount of nose concave that is on this is super inviting, I really think that this thing is meant to surf off the tail and the middle. Which brings me to maneuver, all right? We're going with an 8 on maneuverability. The V in the tail, the hard edge that's starting right around here, makes this thing super nimble, even at 9.9, 23, 3.13. All right, that's the dimensions for this thing. It's pretty big. It's really big for me too. It almost feels like it has side bites, but in the right ways, the way that I like it. So as far as maneuverability, really maneuverability. Really maneuverable. So pretty cool in that aspect. Now, trim, okay? I gave it an 8 because it has a glider feel. Fading back into the foam, it always felt stable. It always gave good speed, and it stayed with the good speed. Even when you fall behind a section, if you stay low and move into the middle of the board, there's a good chance that you're gonna beat it, and then you can pop up, do your cross step back, and do one of those swing turns, you know, like a pivot turn, okay? So that's kind of where I'm at as far as trim. Volume distribution, I gave it a 7, okay? Extremely stable from all sections of the board. This felt so stable that I decided to start trying to surf it switch at pop-up, which is something that I kind of fooled around with a little bit, but in the past, but I felt really good on this one. You know, keep in mind, when you're paddling it here, and there's a good amount of foam in front of you, and there's even tapered less foam in back of you. So when you're popping up, you should be super stable no matter what. It doesn't feel stable, or doesn't feel as stable as a poly board on the nose, okay? And that's something that I really wanted to check out. The Thunderbolt technology, I want to see if it kind of helps with nose riding. Now, is this a designated nose rider board? No, the Sprout is. And they're even saying the Neo Classic is a great nose rider, okay? This is not, but I've seen Corey, Colapintail, Colapinto, whatever his last name is, do some great nose work on this board. So I wanted to kind of see what was going on with it. Again, volume distribution all changes when you start to put such thick rails. And the swing weight, although I would think if this was a poly board, it would be a lot heavier, so it would be a lot harder to swing this board around, but it would make it a lot easier to nose ride. Okay? It definitely feels smaller than the dimensions because of the ThunderTech, for sure. It does feel smaller. Due to the material, again, low swing weight, all right? Paddling, I gave it an 8 because it paddles like a glider and has enough nose rocker where choppy conditions and steep surf are not an issue. I didn't have any issues at all dropping in late on this board. It paddled great. It paddled even when the wind was blowing super duper offshore. No problems, even with all of this nose concave that it has. Usually that kind of keeps you at the top, but this thing just paddled right through it. Special moments. So I gave it a 6. I did have a lot of fun on mushy days, and that's what was cool about it because it was very, in that aspect, glider-like. But it didn't do anything that I haven't felt before. As far as special moments, for me, it just didn't really like do anything that nuts. And usually some boards feel like, I don't know, it turns well, you can mess around the nose, but like a lot of boards do that. So that's why it's a 6. Overall, 7.16. Again, keep in mind, that's just my experience with it. I had 30 days to ride this thing. So yeah, that's that. Okay, so if you follow me on Instagram at Surfcraft Union, you saw that I'm doing, or I did a t-shirt contest and I would be announcing it. So Tim from Secular Surfboards down in South Carolina, you won. Thank you so much. I'm actually wearing the shirt right now. It's pretty dope. They are now available for sale. When you buy a shirt from me, it helps me with paying off video cameras. It also helps me try to pay my editor that works super duper hard to make this channel with me and make me look relatively okay. So every little bit helps. Thank you, Tim, again. You can talk to Corey about your fin, and again, I will make you a board bag, whatever you want. So on to the little accessory. It's actually not that little this time. This is my new shower buddy. I've been doing trips up north, camping. I have a Ford Transit that Connect, the small one, that I sometimes sleep in for a couple days. And I have a rinse kit, and it was great, don't get me wrong, but I want something a little bigger. So this is by a brand called Heart, and it is literally a electronic shower. It holds 5 gallons, and it has an on and off switch. You can hear it. That just means that there's no water. And it comes with this little guy and a charger, and you can charge it. So that way you never have to pump it. You never have to worry about the actual water being pressurized. I found it very convenient. I've had it for 30 days, and it has not let me down. The pressure is not super nuts, but what you have to do is if you want it on shower, it's just gonna be a little lighter than a rinse kit, but if you put it on the different settings, it will come out a little bit stronger. So yeah, $130 shipped. Can't beat it. Even if it breaks, it's awesome. So again, thank you everyone for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Be safe. What do I say? Stay safe, be friendly, surf soon. All right, thank you.